Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered on the shared traditional and unceded territory of the Katzie First Nation and the Kwantlen First Nation. I'd like to start by thanking Meadow Ridge School for providing the venue. They've also provided refreshments and some snacks in the back. Please feel free to help yourself at any time. And I'd like to welcome you for being part of the democratic process. Before I introduce the candidates, we'll kind of go through some of the rules and so forth. I also want to mention that I saw the Maple Ridge News here, as well as CBC is here, and CBC is looking to get some feedback from you, what you think of what's going on election-wise and stuff at the end of the event. They'll be outside, so feel free to stop by and share your thoughts.
Yeah, CBC!
So, Ridge Meadows Chamber of Commerce is hosting this all-candidates debate for the Pitt Meadows Maple Ridge riding. Candidates listed on the Elections Canada website have been contacted by the Chamber of Commerce and invited to participate. Prior to the event, just a few minutes ago, the candidates, I drew straws, but really we picked numbers to determine the seating order and the order in which they will speak. Once we begin, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to provide an opening statement. There will be a timer that they will be able to see to help manage the length of their opening remarks. At the end of 2 minutes, a buzzer will go off and the candidate will be asked to wrap up their statement. We will then get into the question period. The questions have been solicited from the community in advance, and as there were some that were quite similar, we have combined them where appropriate. There are no questions from the floor for this event. The candidates do not know the questions, but they are aware of the topics that will be covered. And the topics for tonight's debate will be tariffs, housing, the Pitt Meadows Harris Road crossing, human rights, safety and security, and the cost of living. For each question, the candidates will have 1.5 minutes to respond. Again, we will use the timer and that they will be able to see and manage the length of their answer. If they are not finished with their answer at the 90-second mark, they will be asked to wrap up by the moderator. Candidates are welcome to request that a question be repeated without it impacting their speaking time. Each candidate will have 2 opportunities to rebut an answer given by another candidate. The process will be to raise the rebuttal sign that they've been provided. I will acknowledge them and they will have 30 seconds to rebut the answer from the other candidate. We will track the number of rebuttals at the desk. There may be rebuttals from other candidates on the same topic. Please note that a rebuttal will not be responded to by the original speaker, so you may not want to rebut in the form of a question. After the list of topics are covered, each candidate will have the opportunity to ask 1 question of another candidate of their choosing. They will have 1 minute to ask their question, and the responding candidate will have 1 minute to respond. Rebuttals will not be permitted during this segment. Then we will wrap up the evening by giving each candidate another 2 minutes for their closing statements. We ask that the candidates please respect and adhere to the debate rules. I also want to remind you, should you have specific questions for any of the candidates, you can reach them via email through their party websites. I'd like to now introduce the candidates from your left to your right. Sitting in position 1 here from the New Democratic Party, Daniel Heidenreich. In the second seat from the Liberal Party of Canada, Angie Rao. In the third seat from the Rhinoceros Party, Peter Buttle. From the Conservative Party of Canada, Mark Dalton. And in the 5th position from the People's Party of Canada, Chris Leonard. And thank you, candidates, for attending tonight. I also want to just do a quick introduction of the Chamber of Commerce team. Again, my name is Jerry. I'll be moderating. Our CEO, Christy Meyer, our Events and Engagement Coordinator, Dara Bonderud, and Events and Engagement Coordinator number 2, Laura St. Amon. And then I will to the rest and we'll get things started. All right, we're going to start with opening statements. You have 2 minutes. Mr. Heinrich, would you want to start, please?
Thank you for having us here tonight. Thank you everyone for coming and taking up your valuable time to be here. I'm Daniel Heidenreich from the NDP. My background, I come from a military and a security background primarily. I initially volunteered in 1994 in the reserves in South Africa to work during the elections there that saw Nelson Mandela come into power. The reason for that was there was a very serious threat of potential right-wing extremists trying to stop the transfer of power. A couple of years after that I left, I went to the British Army. During my time in the regular forces with the British Army, I served on United Nations peacekeeping missions and reconstruction and development programs in Iraq. Subsequent to leaving the full-time army, I worked on NGO and humanitarian programs all over Africa, the Middle East and Asia, dealing with a variety of issues of delivering primary first aid, healthcare, gender-based violence and trauma care, water sanitation, hygiene, HIV/AIDS programs. Not a doctor or anything, I'm just a security guy, but I was helping set up the programs. Since moving to Canada, I have spent most of my time working for a minority community group, the Jewish community, handling all their safety and security across the province, dealing with arson, vandalism, assaults, and various other hate crimes and incidents that they are subjected to on a pretty much daily basis. And I'm also currently a serving officer in the Canadian Reserves. The reason why I'm running, it stems from my background of working with marginalized and vulnerable communities around the world, and dealing with hate issues and hate incidents, and seeing the rise of that here in Canada, trickling up from America and some of that same rhetoric. It is a huge problem, and I just want to make sure that I'm working to have a voice for marginalized and vulnerable communities that are at risk.
Thank you, Ms. Rao.
Good evening. Thank you to the Chamber for tonight and for everyone being here. My name is Angie Rowell and I'm running as the Liberal candidate. I was born and raised in Maple Ridge. I've raised my children here. Maple Ridge is my home. For the last 40 years, I've worked in financial services, which has provided me with opportunities to travel across North America. I'd had no plan to run for office, for federal office. That was not on my radar by any stretch. But when the US started to threaten Canada, I was worried. And when Carney was selected to lead the Liberal Party, I was inspired. 4 days after the election was called, I found out I was the candidate. 4 weeks later, I'm here with you tonight. It's been a whirlwind. And looking forward to a conversation with my colleagues here. I don't know what I'm gonna do in the next couple of days if we don't have another meeting together and get to sit at the table together. So happy to be here. Thank you.
And Mr. Buttle?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for taking some active interest in the political process in your community. I worked as a teacher in Maple Ridge for 23 years until I retired recently. Earlier in life, I was a Katimavik participant. If you don't know what that is, it's still an operating program from the Canadian government. It's a youth volunteer program, and when I did it, it was a 9-month program. And I've lived across the country. I've lived in the far north, lived in Quebec, lived through the prairies, and I've been here since 2000. But enough about me, because this is not about the individual egos of the people that you're looking at right now. It's about you. What is going to benefit you? You personally, and you as a community. And really, us as a country as a whole. This is really what the focus should be. So you are going to hear a large number of I statements tonight. There's nothing we can do about that. But it's really about you. So please think very carefully about making your choice. I'm not really interested in the job. I'm here to be a disruptor, okay? I'm here to bring different colors and different perspectives to this process. You see, I did this. Well, I mean, look at the shirt. I mean, it says the ungovernable. Okay, I don't consent to be governed. Do you? So choose very carefully, please. Let one of these people resonate with you so that you will make an informed choice. And thank you very much once again for being here.
Yeah, I'm Mark Dole. How's that?
There we go.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm Mark Dalton, Conservative candidate for Pitt Meadows Maple Ridge, and it has been a tremendous honor to serve you for the past 6 years as Member of Parliament and previously as the member, the MLA for Maple Ridge Mission. And I do try to do my best to engage with the community. You should be receiving my Christmas cards, my calendars, my updates, giving you opportunities to respond, giving you opportunities to meet me. And for me, it is being your voice. I know this community very well. I've lived here with my wife, Marlene, for over 30 years. First 10 years were in Pitt Meadows, and the last over 20 years has been in Maple Ridge. I'm a public school teacher by profession in this district. I taught at Pitt Meadows Secondary, Pitt Meadows Elementary, Westview, and for 1 year, in between me being MLA and also being the MP, I had the opportunity to go to a lot of different schools and to see your kids. And to me, that is the importance. Right? It's about our future. It's about can I hold it for a second?
Yeah. Maybe we can get the other folks to turn.
I think it might be that one because it's pointing at the speakers.
Maybe this one.
No,
Where's the power line?
there's no power, so just make sure it's not pointing at the speakers.
Sorry about that.
All right.
It's all good.
Is that better there?
Yes.
Microphone's better.
So I think it's important to talk a little bit about our background as far as teaching. I was in the military. I was raised up in a military home. I've lived across Canada. I love our nation. That's one of the reasons why I'm running, and I've always had a desire to serve on the national level. I speak French fluently. I get by with Spanish. I love knowing about people. One of my subjects I taught was history and socials, and just wherever I go, I know that I can talk to people about their backgrounds, about their communities, about their cities and their country, and I think that's important to be able to engage. I'm also a Cree Métis. I'm a member of Golden Ears Métis Society, and that's important to me.
Mr. Leonard, please.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Chris. I'm repping the People's Party of Canada for our neighborhood. Personally, I'm originally from Montreal, spent some time in Ontario, and I've been in the Lower Mainland since mid-90s. I'm first generation Canadian. Parents were immigrants themselves. Also a direct descendant of Holocaust survivors, so I understand some background when it comes to people and how they interact with each other. That's me personally. I am also not a career politician. I threw my hat in the ring mid-February or so. Although I'm always learning, I may not know every answer, but I knew I had to do something rather than just nothing. I'm going to try and answer questions as best as I can tonight. If I don't know the answer, I will tell you I don't know. I can get back to you, or you can email me, or flag me down in the parking lot to fill me in. Yeah, we can go from there. Thank you. Look forward to tonight.
Thank you. And now we're going to get into the questions. Reminder to the candidates, you will have 90 seconds to answer the questions. If anybody wants to use a rebuttal, please hold it up, and you will get a chance to rebut the answer given by the candidate. We are just going to kind of rotate through, so this time we'll start with Ms. Rowell and kind of work our way along, and that's the format of the evening. So the first question, and this will be for all the candidates, be the same questions. The tariff dispute with the US is making it more expensive to do business in Canada and is putting local jobs at risk. If elected, what will you do to protect Canadian businesses and workers, and how should Canada handle this trade conflict with the US?
think we've all heard, I think in the news, if you've seen anything online, that Prime Minister Mark Carney plans to respond with tariffs in kind, tariffs to the value of $30 billion. So those will be strategic tariffs to be most impactful and harmful economically to the US. And all of those proceeds, all of those tariffs will go to support local and businesses across the country that are being impacted negatively as we ramp up our building and increasing trade between the provinces. There's something else I want to say about that. Let's see. I was going to say, the one thing I want to say about that is while we're doing that, so collecting the tariffs and increasing interprovincial trade, that buys us the time to negotiate trade agreements with other countries and possibly the US. I mean, the reality is we're never going to completely get away from doing business with the US. We just cannot be vulnerable to their political instability.
And same question.
Thank you very much. I think the only solution really is to annex the United States, make them the fourth territory. I don't really see another solution, so that's the rest of my
And Mr. Dalton, hopefully the mic's working.
It is, great. So when the Conservatives were in power the last time under Harper, there was softwood lumber tariffs that were very much impacting the, time out, 1 second. Just me.
Give them pause it. Do you want to swap mics and we'll see if it's maybe feedback? This one. Yeah. Is that the problem? That might be the one. Let's try and do that.
Is it this one?
I think it's that.
Sir. Okay. So we were able to negotiate a softwood lumber agreement. She's looking. I don't want to give myself a half an hour, so I'm just gonna wait till she gets the timer going. There we go. Agreement within 90 days. So it's been it's been almost 10 years, the Liberals, and not only have those softwood lumber tariffs been reimposed, but they've increased. So Conservatives will negotiate, but we've also been put ourselves into a tremendous position, a terrible position, actually blackmailed by the United States and Donald Trump, in the sense that other countries, Europe, Japan, came to us wanting our resources, wanting us to sell, and we basically told, we'll see if there's a business case. And so, meanwhile, 97% of our oil goes down south, and our markets are all going down. So down south. So we're in a very bad position right now. Conservatives will expand our economy. We'll get our economy fired up again under the Liberal net zero policy. Fishing, forestry, mining, oil and gas. All these have been pushed down, and it's kept our economy flat.
Thank you. You can just leave that on Mr. Dalton. Okay. Mr. Leonard, same question?
So, great question. The People's Party's stance is no tariffs. From what's been happening, if we take the position that Trump may not be the enemy, what he's asked was, can you please secure the border? There's too much fentanyl coming across.
Fake news. Yeah.
So, and he had one ask, which was, him and his, let's make a deal to sit down and talk with him. So far, to my knowledge, no one's really wanted to do that. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. I'm in IT. If you don't sit down and talk with someone, we're operating with incomplete data. We have no idea what could be offered or negotiated. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. If it, whatever the negotiations come from, whatever comes out of it, even if the answer is no, at least we know where both sides stand and we can move forward from there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard?
Hello?
Is it working?
It's on?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so to reemphasize a little bit of what Angie said.
Pause it.
I don't care from the arm, but I know. Hello?
I'll reset your clock there for you.
We're okay to share.
Yeah, why don't we share those?
This is fine.
Okay. All right, to re-emphasize what Andy said, obviously we have to impose our own tariffs. To not do so would be silly. Obviously that's going to hurt, but it's just part of the process that we have to do. But taking that money, putting it back into Canadian industry to redevelop our own industries and make sure that we are then maybe not self-sufficient because we don't have everything we need, but are better suited to stand alone and not be reliant on America like we have been, so they can't bully us and harass us by holding us ransom because they control so much of our trade. That's a given. We just want to make sure that we are putting it back into Canadian industries, protecting Canadian union jobs, and we are keeping everything in line with Canadian labor law, making sure we respect Indigenous rights while we're doing it, and on top of that, we also have to focus on the other aspects of it that are going to impact everyone's pockets, like improving our EI, because people will unfortunately lose their jobs because of this. So making sure that EI is expanded, making sure that the EI is easy to access and it's more encompassing. We've got a good start on dental care, health care, pharma care, making sure that we expand that and making it universal so that people aren't paying out of pocket for these things that are essentials. Expanding the child care and making sure that we're not having to waste all that money. And then also making sure that we are expanding the seniors benefits as well, because it's going to hit everyone across the board.
We'll now move on to our second topic, and we're starting with you, Mr. Buttle. Housing affordability is a growing issue in Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows, with many residents struggling to find affordable options. If elected, what steps will you take to ensure more affordable housing is built in our communities?
I'm not going to be in a position to make a lot of decisions about. I don't think this is working. I'm not going to be elected here, so I'm not going to be in a position to make a lot of decisions. But I can offer some suggestions. I did live in the far north for a couple of years, and I know you can build an igloo in an afternoon, so that'll solve a bunch of our problems. Now, it's been brought up to me that climate change is going to affect that, and we can get a pretty large supply of ice and snow from our neighbor, Greenland. Okay, and all we'd have to pay is shipping and handling. I don't think we'll miss it very much. I think we're about one step away from property owners in this community getting a backhoe, digging a pit in their front yard, telling you to bring your own tarp, that there would be no bathroom facilities, and you'd have to pay extra for parking and charge you $1,400 a month for that. So I really don't see a solution to the housing problem at this moment. People that own property aren't going to lower the value of their property. They're not going to lower the value of the rent that they're taking in. What we can do is encourage our young people to get more experience out of life, because they more than likely will not be able to own a home of their own.
Thank you. Mr. Dalton?
I bought our first townhouse. It was brand new, and I was a first-year teacher, and my wife was a stay-at-home mom. That is absolutely impossible nowadays. And young people want a future. They want to be able to be mobile. There was a report for the Liberal government. It was by the Privy Council, and it's for them. It's internal, and they said that wealth inequality is rising, and it's common for children to be less upwardly mobile than their parents. That's under 10 years of the Liberals, which means what? It means that the chances of moving ahead as an individual, as a young person, as a new immigrant are becoming more and more difficult. It says the economy, this is talking about by the time 2040 comes about, at the current trajectory. It says the economy shrink or become more volatile. Mental health challenges could grow due to frustrated hopes and expectations. Workers and immigrants may choose to leave Canada for better opportunities elsewhere. It even talks about people going to foraging and finding other ways of meetings. This is a government report. The Conservatives, our plan will take off the GST, up to a place of $1.3 million. We're gonna incentivize municipalities up to $50,000 if they reduce their development charges. We are gonna look at all sorts of ways to be able to get young people into the market and to reduce the costs.
Thank you. Any other rebuttal? Mr. Heinrich, you have 30 seconds, sir.
Sure. That paper it isn't this is what's going to happen. On the military, we do something called war gaming, where we game out worst case scenario so that we can plan for the actual event. So the final lines of that paper says, upward social mobility may never be as difficult or rare as suggested in the scenario. Exploring them supports anticipatory governance by helping policymakers think through potential challenges and opportunities. It is just hyperbolic fear-mongering.
Thank you. People's Party has two plans they have one plan, and then I noticed one of my own. The People's Party would be trying to cool down the housing market as it is, negotiating with the Bank of Canada for an interest rate of 2.5% or less, preferably zero, if that would be possible. The second is something I've noticed. When I moved to Maple Ridge, when I look out the window or when I'm driving around, I can see the trees touch the sky. I can see the skyline. That is something that's getting rare in the Lower Mainland. I actually looked it up. Maple Ridge has a bylaw where you can only build so high. And I would stand to fight and protect that, because there may have been cases of the federal government, whoever they were at the time, pressuring cities and municipalities to build up. And when you start to do that, cities get gray, sunlight gets blocked, skylines don't look like they used to. So I would fight to keep that policy that's currently in place. It's working. Thank you.
Yeah, can you just repeat the full question?
Absolutely. Housing affordability is a growing issue in Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows, with many residents struggling to find affordable options. If elected, what steps will you take to ensure more affordable housing is built in our communities?
So, as the Liberal platform as well states, we're going to be getting back into the housing business. Just how we go about making sure we produce those houses and get the money back into the local economy. So it's about making sure that we're building affordable houses on government land using non-market homes instead of putting it out to for-profit corporations and having them jack up the prices and leaving us in the same situation. The incentives like removing GST for first-time homeowners or homes under a certain amount. Ours is about doing that for actual first-time homeowners and not for corporations and not for speculators, not for people that can buy a bunch of houses and get one free because they got the GST off. These are for real, legitimate first-time homeowners. And then on top of that, making sure we push out long-term, low-interest mortgages so that you're not having to struggle every 3 or 4 years, whatever the case may be, and being priced out of your own home because the interest rates have gone up, getting people into affordable long-term homes. Rent control, we need some sort of national rent control. It's come up here. People are being priced out of their communities. They're not being able to live where they should be living, close to their families, close to their homes, close to their jobs, having to commute for crazy amounts of time. So making sure that we can put in those conditions and stopping rent evictions and stopping people pushing out tenants and jacking up prices.
So the problem of housing and the cost of housing and how difficult it has become did not happen just over the last 10 years. It's been 30 plus years of government not looking at demographics. It's been 30 plus years of both governments, whatever government's been in party, whatever, has done the same thing. They've profited from it and not looked forward. And we have to change that. Housing is a right. Daniel and I agree on many of these points here. The GST being removed for first-time home buyers, extended mortgage terms, maybe longer than 5 years, maybe it's a 5-year for a mortgage interest rate, so you know that you're locked in. And the federal government, under Prime Minister Mark Carney, will build upwards of 500,000 homes a year, and we will be building homes in a combination of homes for purchase, co-op housing, home for rent, And this will be the biggest home building initiative we've seen from the government since post-World War II. We need people to have houses, we need to help them get into it, and we're going to do that.
Yes, the Liberals have no problems throwing numbers around like 500,000. Why don't they say a million homes? They've been in power for 10 years. What's happened? It's just gotten worse. And so one of the things that the Conservatives will do is ensure that there's no capital gains increase on selling homes, which now that because the election is now happening, they're pulling back. But they're also, we're going to remove the requirement to report the sale of your home to CRA. That's important because really they're looking at home ownership, they're looking at revenue as potential money grab in the future, down the road.
Thank you. I'm moving to the third question, and we'll be starting with you, Mr. Dalton. The City of Pitt Meadows urgently needs the Harris Road overpass to reduce congestion, improve emergency response times, and enhance public safety. This project is vital for both residents and local businesses, yet delays and rising costs remain a concern. If elected, how will you advocate for sustained federal funding and leadership to ensure this project moves forward efficiently and with full collaboration from all stakeholders, including the city, the province, CP Rail, and the Port of Vancouver?
No, it is very important. And I lived on the other side of the tracks for many years, having to commute to Pitt Meadows Secondary School. So I know that this is a major area of congestion. So I will advocate for this project. I will say that Liberals again have been here for a long time. Lots of promises. What's happened? Nothing has happened. And they're the ones that falls upon. Not only there's been tremendous cost escalations, it's tripled now in price. And if you look at the pricing, less than half of that is actually construction cost. Less than half is construction cost. Like, this is a problem, and that's why nothing is getting built. There's just escalating costs everywhere. It's not under control. Under the Conservatives, projects were done on time and on budget. I'll give you an example, Pitt River Bridge. That was built on time, on budget, because there was penalties if they didn't. I was the MLA at the time, was not an MP, and we saw that bridge. The Golden Ears Bridge was built, all sorts, but now we're seeing almost nothing happening right now. And so under a Conservative government, you're going to see infrastructure. We're not going to see promises, because there's lots of promises easily made. The Liberals have made another promise, that they're going to build a high-speed train from Toronto to Quebec City. Well, they promise this all the time. It's not going to happen, but don't be bamboozled by their promises, because that's exactly what they're doing.
Thank you. And Mr. Miller, same question, please.
Thank you. I actually don't have enough information about this yet to answer properly. I would have to do more research and look into it. Or if anyone wants to reach out to me and fill me in, give me a crash course. I'm always learning. But what I do know is it's kind of like braces. Every year you wait, it's just going to get more expensive. The sooner you pull the Band-Aid off, the cheaper it's going to be, because if you wait another 10 years, it's just going to be that much more expensive anyway. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Conrad?
So this kind of infrastructure is part of that essential infrastructure that we're talking about. Stopping the congestion, the pollution, making the roads safer, speeding up first responder times. Hours and hours are wasted at that intersection with on the Harris Road. This has been going on for decades. It's been going on for nearly 50 years from the initial beginning of this process to now. We've had 18 council presentations in the last 10 years. You've had 7 public engagement opportunities. Everyone seems to agree on this. There's been money allocated for it. There should be no more reasons for delays. And if we're going in, if we have to push it through by using some of that money from tariffs and putting it back into critical infrastructure, this is one of those projects that should be taken care of.
Mr. Al?
Prime Minister Carney has made it clear that we will invest in infrastructure and trade corridor development and improvements. This train crossing is one of the busiest and most dangerous in the country, and it is top of list. I've already spoken with Ottawa, about this project, to bring it back to be top of mind. I met with Prime Minister Carney this morning and had a chance to discuss it briefly. And the fact is that one of the challenges with this is the multiple partners that are needed. So the city can't do this on their own, the province can't do it on its own. We need the city, the province, the Port Authority, the federal government, and the railways. So right now, the rail company is planning to lay a third track at some point, which fits in with our need to increase trade between the provinces. And this project will be top of mind. So for me, this is one of my biggest initiatives that I will continue to fight for.
Mr. Buttle, same question, please.
In order to get on the ballot, it was required of all the candidates here to get signatures from local constituents. I don't know Pitt Meadows really well, so I went out one day and I was on Harris Road and just meeting people on the road. I didn't knock on a single door, I didn't interrupt anyone's dinner or bath or anything. I only stopped people when they were outside. And I chose beautiful days like this to go out, and hopefully people would have a few minutes to chat with me. And usually they would tell me their political views and their political concerns during the time that I was signing them up. And people were pretty polite about signing up. There were very few refusals. So on the subject of this overpass or underpass on Harris Road, there were two comments from constituents in Pitt Meadows, and they were both strongly against it. So my solution is to save money and to increase tourist trade. That is to save money on building materials and time and all that. We could build a jump for the trains to hit. Those engineers are unbelievably skilled in their profession, and they know how trains work. They can get that thing going pretty far. Imagine the commuters every day going on the West Coast Express. What a thrill that would be. Gripping onto your seat, waiting for that to happen, and boom, off you go. And again, imagine the tourist trade.
From Mr. Leonard.
The jump's the easy part, it's the landing that's
Make a note of that.
Thank you. On to question 4, and we'll be starting with you, Mr. Leonard, this time. Canada has long prided itself on being a global leader in human rights. However, concerns continue to arise around access to abortion, protections for LGBTQ2S+ communities, and the rise in hate crimes and discrimination across the country. If elected, what concrete steps will you take to protect and advance human rights for all Canadians, particularly those in marginalized communities?
Well, the biggest step toward human rights is you have to base it on love. You can't keep hating other people. You can't keep putting other people down. And it's kind of no point. You can't progress as human beings doing that. So human rights, really any topic, if you approach it with love and apply that to every step, every question, every procedure, you can't really go wrong with that. And yeah, experiencing that myself and what my parents went through, it's a big step. It's human rights. You have that right just by being human. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter what you believe in. You can all find common ground, and you can push hate as much as you want. It's always temporary, and love and truth will always grow through the cracks and win. Thank you.
So many of these rights are very, very recent. They've only come in, some within the last few years, especially when it comes to the 2S LGBTQIA, right to marry, right to adopt, right to have kids. What we need to do is make sure that they cannot be legislated away again. They have to be enshrined, they have to be entrenched, they have to be enforced in such a way that it's not a topic anymore. It shouldn't come up at every election. It shouldn't be used as political maneuvering. It should just be human rights. Women's rights are human rights. LGBTQ rights are human rights. Disabled rights are human rights. Today or yesterday, they talked about criminalizing homelessness. This is unacceptable. We have to put more into social programs and protect the minorities, protect the vulnerable, protect the marginalized. We should not be legislating their right to exist away.
All people are equal under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Healthcare is a right. Again, Daniel and I agree on several things. All healthcare decisions should be between the individual and their healthcare provider, period. End of story, end of conversation.
Mr. Buttle?
My tenure as a teacher here in Maple Ridge was primarily teaching adult education. And a large chunk of that was teaching in the jails. I taught in both the men's jail, the Fraser Regional Correction Center, and Alouette Correction Center for women. And I realize I'm coming at this from a biased perspective, but a solution to crime and punishment really is education. The more we can educate people, the more we can keep them out of jail. You know, it costs $100,000 a year to keep a man in Fraser Regional, and about double that for a woman. Okay, it's very expensive. It's the more we can keep people out of jail, the more money the province and the taxpayers in the community will save. Just to add a little bit about human rights, and again, I realize this is a cliche, but if we don't have, when you talk about human rights, if you don't mean them for everybody, but only for yourself, what you're really talking about is privilege.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment by the NDP member, just stating that it shouldn't be used as a form of political maneuvering. And that's exactly, we're talking about abortion, we're talking about gay marriage, and it comes up every time. It's not coming from the Conservatives. Conservatives are very clear, and they've been clear for 21 years that there will be no ban on no abortion legislation. That's been our policy. Conservatives were in for 10 years. There was no ban. We are not. There's no change in gay marriage. You know, it's all fluff and all yelling and lies. They also say, "Oh, you're going to take your health care." Well, that's a lie. You're going to take your CPP. That's a lie. We're not going to. So I'm just so used to these sort of smear jobs. So I will say that we support human rights, and I can't tell you how many people I meet from different countries that are concerned about what's happening in country here. People from Iran, people that are the IRGC group that is here, and their agents are here. We'll expel them. And the Liberals have allowed this to happen. The Jewish community, I met so many of them right there that are really, Canada used to be a safe haven. They feel threatened right now. They do feel threatened in our beautiful country. And this has happened under the Liberals' watch. This is a place of safety and security. And right now we're asking people, yeah, you can come to Canada, but we don't want. We don't want, leave your politics behind. Come and be the multicultural society that we are. We need a change.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. We have a rebuttal, Mr. Heinrich.
So it's not a smear tactic. Voting records are public. If you look at who's voted for and against certain policies, it is consistently the Conservatives that have voted against equality, human rights, social programs, LGBTQ, women's rights, abortion rights. You may not have voted to get it passed, but a lot of you have. And at some point, it will tip and we will lose those rights.
Moving to question 5, Mr. Heinrich, you're going to be the start here. Homelessness, mental health, and community safety are significant concerns in Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows. Many residents are looking for action from all levels of government to support vulnerable populations and ensure our neighborhoods remain safe and livable. If elected, what specific steps will you take to address these interconnected issues in our community?
Homelessness being the big one, like I said, we shouldn't be criminalizing the homeless. Obviously, we have a housing crisis, which is making that worse. If you look at a case like Finland, they recently got rid of a lot of their homeless issues by putting people into just small, little apartments, just a place they can live, get back on their feet, and get upwardly mobile again. We have to work towards that. We have to have the right kind of infrastructure to get them there, but there are ways to do that. When it comes to the crime and the drugs, we've talked about this in previous debates, but mandatory minimums for people that are using, people that are committing these crimes, like often they are the victims, and we need to take each case on a case-by-case basis. We should not be having mandatory minimums for everything. Some issues need to have serious time, but when people are in jail, we need to also make sure that we are committing to helping them get back into society when they get out. So that is education, that is skills training, that is trade training, so that when they come back out, they are more productive members of society and can contribute, and then are not perpetuating the cycle of violence and homelessness and drug abuse and criminality. The recidivism rates will obviously be better. It's going to take time to get there. This is not an overnight fix, but the housing program, the affordable housing program, the rent control program, the non-market housing program, this is all going to help towards fixing those issues over a period of time.
Question to you, Ms. Rowell, same question?
Again, many similar things. Safe housing, we will work on that. That's a priority. Catch and release under the Liberals didn't work. Obviously, we can see the results of that. That needs to change. But as well, minimum mandatory sentences are not the answer. Circumstances have to be considered. I thought a lot about this topic this afternoon, and one thing that came to mind was the Lola Chapman diversion program that was started under Lola Chapman. And it was a youth diversion program that I was made aware of when I was on the Youth Center Society Committee. And it took individuals who had were going to end up in the justice system and diverted them. It provided mental health support, it provided housing, and the wraparound services that are needed. And all the solutions we've seen, and we can look across Vancouver, we could look here, we could look at Mission, you can look at every city and the challenges that we face with mental health, housing issues, and drug addiction. We need services wrapped around these people. It is the only way. There's no one simple answer. It's not an easy thing to fix. If it was, Mark would have fixed it. Daniel would have fixed it. Every one of us here in this room would have fixed it if there was an easy solution. It's a tough one. In support of general safety, the Liberals are committed to hiring 1,000 new RCMP officers and 1,000 new Border Patrol officers to help continue to reduce the inflow of drugs and guns across the border.
I've already spoken about my experience teaching in jail, and I can only support my colleagues here on the panel for the points that they've brought up. So I will jump back. I'll use the rest of this time to jump back to another point that was brought up recently, or brought up in the last round of questions. Because Canada is no angel when it comes to treatment of its Aboriginal people. And so many of the problems that have been here since Europeans landed are still problems, or have become worse. And the prison populations there's a disproportional number of First Nations people behind bars. So that's something that has to be definitely looked at by any government that gets in, and it rarely is. So on that same point, I think we need to think about Canada's complicity with what is by every standard a genocide happening in Gaza, and Canada's assistance in the occupiers destroying a people. They throw a rock, they fire a tank. It's disproportionate response to the problem. That's all I can say on the subject. Thank you.
Yeah, I thank God every day for being able to live in this beautiful community. Look around, it's just amazing. But I will say that things have changed. Seniors are now afraid to walk downtown. My office is right by Tim Hortons, and there's businesses closing down. police tell me what's the use of even arresting, because it's under liberal catch and release. It doesn't work, and it won't work with them still in power, because they're going to keep it in. Conservatives will bring in mandatory minimums. We believe that if people who do serious crime, they need to be doing serious time. 256 people were murdered that were out on bail in just a recent announcement in 2023. There was, we're seeing just a mass escalation of crime in our community. 50,000 people have died from opioid overaddiction. I was able to influence our party in the area of being able to do recovery. We've announced 50,000. We're going to, our focus will be treatment and recovery, and will be 50,000 people we're going to be putting through the different programs, because we believe it's more important to be able to help them, to move them forward in this, not just to give them safe drugs, not just keep them alive, because in the end they're probably going to die. This is about this country. People from third world nations come here and they cannot believe what is happening here. People that used to live in Maple Ridge in our community say, "What is going on here?" I'll tell you, a lot of that falls under the governments, both the provincial and federal. So.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard, same question to you, sir?
Probably 3 points on this one. The first one is, should someone currently be incarcerated implement a form of counseling and find the root cause of how they ended up where they ended up, and if it's reoccurring, break that cycle and find a better path in their life. Second point would probably be, it could work, done smartly and properly, as a form of halfway housing. It has been known to work more than not. That would be an option. And third would be providing our local RCMP with what they need to get their job done, whether it's more people, more supplies, different management. Because I said at one of our previous debates, catch and release only works when you're fishing. It doesn't work on people that well. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question, Ms. Rowley will be starting. Residents in Maple Ridge, and Pitt Meadows and Mission are all struggling with the rising costs of living, from housing to groceries and other everyday expenses. If elected, what steps will you take to make life more affordable for families and individuals in our communities?
So we've already cut the carbon tax. It was obviously divisive, and that has saved 18 cents a liter on gasoline. Middle class tax cut will average about $800 per household. This is, in essence, when you do the math, almost the same as what the Conservatives are proposing. Removing GST on first-time home buyers up to certain limits, saving up to $50,000. Expanded dental care, an average of $800 savings for people who do not have coverage previously. Accelerating home building, as we've already discussed. Interprovincial trade will help to reduce the cost of products and services across the country. And a continued or a renewed and new commitment from an economist from Harvard and Oxford for fiscal prudence, and a continued commitment for $10 a day daycare with an extra 100,000 spaces added before 2031.
What are we going to do? Cost of living has always been an issue for everyone. So in order to really look at the root causes of affordability, let's look at the way that Parliament works. You've noticed, if you've ever watched Parliament, that the parties, okay, the various parties, whether it's one of these guys or someone else, they vote together. Whatever the leader chooses to do, they vote with the leader. So you can look back at the voting records of the various parties in this country and see which ones have consistently voted against raising the minimum wage. Minimum wage used to be enough for, when it was first implemented, it used to be enough for a single earner in a family to buy a home and support the rest of the family. It's not even enough to support an individual now. So that, and maybe giving everyone a dump truck full of money. What else can we do, okay? We have to do something, and prices are not gonna come down on their own.
Thank you. Mr. Bowden?
There's so many people I talk to at the doorsteps are telling me how hard it is. Like they're saying, I'm doing two jobs, and I can't hardly do it. Can hardly make it. I'm making a good salary, but we can't do it. What's the problem? It's like costs have gone so much. Inflation has really eaten into this. So packages are more expensive and they're smaller. You go to Costco, go anywhere. My wife had told me buy some russet potato, and I went there and I said, don't buy a 10-pound bag. Well, I said they're $3 a pound. So I went for the 10-pound bag and we ended up using them. So I'm just saying, it is the inflationary spending. The Liberals doubled the national debt. They doubled it in their time, and that led to inflation. Mr. Carney led it also when he was in Europe, the inflationary debt in the UK. We are going to see the bottom bracket, 15% decrease, GST, all sorts of reductions, but more important than this is we're going to get our economy fired up by approving projects. The Liberals basically held back $200 billion worth of projects. Why do you see our rallies so filled with people in trades? Because they want to be able to work in places in LNG, in forestry, all sorts of things, and it's been kept down under the Liberal policy of net zero, which Mr. Carney subscribes to.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard, same question to you.
Money, everyone's favorite love-hate topic. But yeah, Mark, you're right. Whether intentionally or whether good habits or not, or well-intended or not, yeah, we're at 1.2 trillion in debt. And that drove home when I looked at the number in front of me. That's a 1 and a 2 followed by 12 zeros. That was pretty daunting. I think best approach should be revamping our logistics. Cost of living is how much it costs people to live, and we should start looking at being a smarter approach with the people that are here in the country, and regulating that for the time being, because this is the most debt the country's had, I think, ever. The last 10 years, there's more debt than the previous 148 years combined. So if we can start managing our people that need the money, it can start having a domino effect on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a rebuttal? Mr.
More of a comment, and that is that the Conservatives are committing to no new taxes. Where there was no increase in taxes, we'll take it to a national referendum. We're putting it on the line. And as opposed to the Liberals, they'll find ways. Because right now, you're paying 6 months of the year for taxes at different levels. You're paying more in taxes than food, housing, shelter, and everything else. So it's so important. And so also the carbon tax. Well, the Conservatives will take the credit for that, because we've been pushing on that for many years.
Thank you. And Mr. Heinrich, same question.
Okay, so the cost of living encompasses a lot of the stuff we've already talked about tonight, so I won't go into that too much. I will thank Angie for bringing up all the fantastic NDP programs that we brought forward. And what we're also looking to do is put a GST on essentials, and it's not just food, that's talking about internet, heating, cell phone use. Those are essentials in this day and age. You can't get by without them. They're essential for work, essential for living. Kids need it for their homework. They're essential, so we've got to get rid of the GST. Capping food prices to stop corporate companies gouging us. Places like Loblaws are making $2 billion net. That's after they've paid everything out. $2 billion net a year is unacceptable, right? They are gouging you, and we are paying too much at the till. So the question always comes up is, how do we get there? What do we have to cut to get all these services in place? Well, we don't have to cut anything. If we can rescind the Harper era tax havens that were brought in, that were then exasperated by the financial folks like Carney, and we can actually tax the rich what they should be paying, because they are getting away with paying less than any of you in this room right now. Their companies are getting away with paying less tax than any of you in this room right now. So they privatize their profits and socialize their gains. They privatize their profits, socialize their losses when they take handouts every time they're struggling, but still post massive profits and massive bonuses for their CEOs.
Thank you. We have one more question before we get into the candidates' choice questions, and it's relating to taxes, I guess, a little bit more. Mr. Buttle, you'll be starting on this. Many residents in Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows, and Mission are concerned about the burden of rising taxes on their everyday lives. If elected, how will you ensure that taxes remain fair and manageable for families and businesses in our community?
Business has had a terrific ride since the 1970s, well, 80s, I suppose. Up until then, that's what paid for so much of the infrastructure that we know in this country. Business taxes were much, much higher up until the 80s. And that, as I said, that covered an awful lot of the costs. With the Reagan era politicians, we saw business taxes drop. Now, if we think about how these companies in Canada, these corporations in Canada, why are they here? Why are they making money here? Well, the natural resources are here. An educated workforce is here, which is key also. The infrastructure for transportation, for everything that's necessary for corporations is already here. They're not paying for it. It's time they start paying again. We've paid enough. As Mr. Dalton said, it's a disproportionate amount of our incomes to pay just for taxes. It's time for the corporations to pay their fair share.
Yep.
And the rich. Let's not forget the rich while we're at it, okay? Most of the rich people, most of the ultra-rich people that we know, and it's like more than 60%, inherited their wealth. They didn't even work for it.
Mr. Dalton?
Yeah, I didn't know this question was coming. I'm going to use my rebuttal, but we have committed to not increasing taxes as far as the rates. We are going to do everything we can to reduce that pressure on individuals and on small businesses, because it's tough for small businesses. It's a chamber event right here. It's really hard. And one of the hard things is regulation, because regulation, red tape costs money, it costs time. Builders, for example, used to take about 6 months, 5 to 6 months from the time you got a permit to the time you move in. Now we're looking at 2 years. So we want to incentivize to reduce the regulations. Conservatives brought in the TFSAs under Harper. We've announced a Canada First TFSA, so investments here, another $5,000 a year for investments in Canada to help out all sorts of projects. Could be green, it could be a variety of investments to help spark our economy, because it's really stagnant over so many years. And also we are increasing the taxable income, which kicks in for seniors, from $24,000 to $34,000. This is another $10,000. And RSPs, where we are saying we're going to move it from 71 years, we have to cash out essentially, to 73 years, because it's hard for seniors. We want to make it easier for everyone in every way.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard?
The only two things guaranteed in life are death and taxes. What we should be doing is, I agree with Peter on this one, the super wealthy and the mega corporations. If they've been getting a free ride, tax breaks, that's wrong and disproportionate. If you can afford the car, you can afford to fix it. So if you can afford to do business, you can afford to pay your taxes. Second thing would stop attacking homeowners with their property tax. I went to get bubble tea with my partner the other day. The lady behind the counter, her husband's a builder of some kind. It was a bit of a language barrier, but I got the gist of it. And they bought a teardown. They built a brand new home on the property. 2 years later, they have to sell. they cannot afford the property tax on the very home that they built, that they wanted to live in forever. So yeah, ease up on property tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Henry?
It's going to be a little bit of repetition here, because I already talked about the same thing that Peter did, which is making sure that these mega corporations pay their fair share and the individuals pay their fair share. That will offset what we can then reduce from the small business owners, the mom and pop shops, the small franchises, the ones that are actually contributing to the communities, that are living in the communities, paying into the communities, and not just shoving all their money into offshore tax havens. So we should be reducing taxes for smaller businesses, for individuals, tax break for healthcare workers, and making sure we tax the rich, because it's been unfair for far too long, and they are the cause of a lot of the problems that we're having right now.
The Liberal government will not increase taxes on any individuals or small businesses, and Prime Minister Mark Carney cancelled the planned increase or the proposed increase for any additional, let me start that over. Prime Minister Mark Carney cancelled what was proposed to increase capital gains tax and kept it as it is in order to encourage more investment and growth in the country.
We're now going to move to the questions from the candidates. Just as a reminder that you will have 1 minute to ask a question of another candidate, and that candidate will then have 1 minute to answer. Mr. Dalton, you're up first.
All right.
Choose who you want.
I guess I'll go to the Liberal candidate, Angie. And just regarding Mark Carney, and we've had conversations at your doorsteps. And I know that you were very dissatisfied with the Liberal government, even though you've been a Liberal. And you're talking about moving south in our conversations at that time. We're moving. I'm just wondering, the fact that we've had $500 billion that have moved from Canada to States in investments under the Liberals, and we have had $30 billion under Carney going to tax-free havens, which Harper was against, of Bermuda, hiding in Bermuda and also in the Cayman Islands, given the fact that he has been behind the scenes as a chief economic advisor, and he's pretty much been the heir apparent of Justin Trudeau. They opened the door for him. I just fail to see how you can be so animated about Mr. Carney with his record and how he treats Canada.
Ms. Rowell, you have 1 minute to respond.
I'm not sure where to start there. That's a lot. So did you say I was moving to the United States? I don't know what to say. So Maple Ridge is my home. So this has been going around online that I don't live here. I don't know, my parents are here. I'm taking my mom to dialysis tomorrow. I live here. This is my town. I don't know what to say. I work for a company, a global company that takes me throughout North America. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say about that. As far as investments and the dollars that you're quoting, honestly, I don't know what to say other than, well, I'm just really quite stuck for a response, Mark. I don't know how to respond to that. I just don't know what to say. Sorry.
Mr. Leonard, you have a chance to ask another candidate a question. You have 1 minute.
Angie, don't mean to put you in the hot seat again. It's coming from love. It's more if you can help me clarify some confusion and maybe have the inside scoop and clarify. I'm seeing a lot on social media. Mark Carney has money in other countries. He doesn't have money in other countries. He has been talking to Trump. He has not. He has been talking to China. He has not. What's actually happening? Shed some light on that.
Well, this might be shocking, but Mark hasn't called me to share his itinerary with me. Having said that, I did meet with him this morning, a very brief conversation about what I want for Maple Ridge Pit Meadows, and that's why I'm here doing this job, or trying to get this job to do it. Yeah, I can't speak to his, I honestly can't, not with any knowledge, I simply can't.
Thank you. Mr. Heinrich, you have a chance to ask somebody a question.
Andrew,
Maybe I'll know an answer to this one.
as an incumbent government, not obviously incumbent here, part of what your platform says is that you're going to be working on increasing military procurement, speeding up the processes, making sure we get better equipment faster, supporting the troops. But that's the same platform as 2015 and 2021, and it was never done both those times. So what will you do to actually push this through to make sure that we get the stuff that we need and we're not reliant on America and we have more reliable military partners, and speed up the procurement process so we can actually have the equipment we need?
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
So I agree, those commitments were made. What's different is that we live in a different world. It's been made very clear that a trusted partner and ally of 200 years is no longer a trusted partner and ally. We need to work with other partners. We need to work within the EU, Commonwealth, and work with other countries that share our democratic views, and to keep our country safe and protect our sovereignty. I think what's different is that Mark Carney, Prime Minister Mark Carney, understands this, and he's made it very clear that under his government, this will be done. We will meet the NATO requirements before 2030, and he's continued to express, I would say, a sincere commitment to making this happen. We don't have a choice. I think we've trusted and relied on the US for too long, and we simply can't do that anymore.
Unless you ask yourself, you get to ask somebody else.
Peter. So what do you plan to do after this campaign, Peter?
Same thing I've been doing. The same thing I've been doing every day since I retired, as much as I want. Is that it? All right. I guess it's my turn. All right. I've got a question for anybody that's interested in answering. I read about, well, let's just say I read dozens of books a year, and I read a book in the last year that gave me some insight really into what I'm seeing in the United States right now. It's a banned book in Canada, so please keep this in mind, that anytime somebody bans a book, get your hands on it and read it, because it's a great way to learn something about the world, see what people don't want you to know. So this awful book, which I would not recommend to a single soul, is called the Turner Diaries. It's one of the worst things that's ever been published. But it did give me some insight into what's going on south of the border right now. So if my question is open to anybody. If you just want to say a title, we should be able to get everybody answering within a minute. What's a book that would help people get through the times that we live in?
Well, I don't know that it's going to help, but the book I'm reading right now is Chicks That Wear Gumboots. It's about women out in the wilderness.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to help.
Anyone
I guess
else?
unless I'm forced to be out foraging, I don't know, for food, like Mark said might happen. I don't know.
Anyone else?
One book I recently read is Three Swans, and it was about a lady talking about her experience growing up in the Cultural Revolution, her mother, her grandmother, and just the insanity it was under a heavily state-controlled everything, against, had to pick up grass, or you couldn't have green there, you had to kill the bugs, it was insane. So I guess just seeing that, it makes you appreciate the freedoms that we do here in Canada.
Anybody else for 10 seconds? Go.
Sure. Keeping in the theme of you asking of what it can do to help us in the current situation, something like 1984, Animal Farm, which can help you kind of understand some of the misinformation, disinformation, doublespeak, and absolute BS that's going around right now.
Question, and sorry, we just changed the format, just like that. We had everybody answer, so that was okay though.
Thank you.
We're going to now move to closing statements. Each of the candidates will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. We'll be starting with you, Mr. Leonard.
So thank you everyone for coming out tonight, fighting the traffic, I'm sure, during rush hour, but you're here, and that's great. Just wanted to leave everyone with the thought to consider, voting for what really is in your heart. If someone if you're talking to someone and they tell you, oh, well, don't vote for this party, vote for this party, otherwise we won't win. No, vote splitting is kind of a fear-based tactic. Vote for what's in your heart, vote for what you believe in. As far as doing your own research, I represent the People's Party of Canada. Go on our website, the national website, and go through our policies and see what resonates with you and take the information from there. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Henry, you have 2 minutes for closing statement.
So you should vote for the NDP because we are the party of unions, the party of nurses, the party of teachers, the party of the everyday working folk. We brought you all those really good social programs that help people on a day-to-day basis, and it's only going to be through us that those are expanded and made universal and actually benefit folks. There's a lot of talk, but none of that talk translates into action unless there's a few NDP people holding people accountable, holding them honest, and making sure that these policies are pushed through. So I've spent my entire life working for marginalized, vulnerable minority communities. That's all pretty much I've ever done. That's all I'm ever going to keep doing. Fighting for the everyday working folk is just what we do as an individual, for me, and as a party, the NDP, it is just what we do.
So Prime Minister Carney has a proven track record of managing through crises and bringing countries out the other side. We're in a crisis, there's no question about that. Our Prime Minister Carney has a plan and will navigate us through this, and we will come out stronger. Using Canadian resources, Canadian labor, and Canadian ingenuity, we will build Canada strong. We're going to partner with other countries that respect us. We will become the wealthiest country in the G7. And really, I think what the US has done for us is they have shown us what we don't want to be. So to those of you in the Liberal who've supported the Liberals in the past, we appreciate the support. For those of you voting Liberal for the first time, you're welcome. We welcome you. On April 28th, vote Angie Rowell, and let's get to work.
I know full well I won't be elected. It doesn't break my heart. In fact, it cheers me up because I don't want to lower myself to the level of politician. If I heard anything from the people that were signing my form to get my name on the ballot is how much they hate politicians. So getting away from that one word that I just uttered, I'm sorry about that. It'd be wonderful if we could someday hear campaigns that are not based on rage farming. Okay, they're not based on name calling and accusations of this and they always do this and they never do that. It'd be a lot better if we could stick to the point. Stick away from the egos of the individuals that are either running or the leaders of the parties, and really get down to brass tacks about what's going to help Canadians. So I still have a whole minute, all right, so I can say a few other things. The big corporations that receive billions of dollars annually of your money, taxpayer money. These are supposed to be big, profitable companies making billions of dollars. So those subsidies that they're getting, really as bribes from the government, are going into corporate bonuses. Is that really helping us? Is that really helping Canadians? What if that money went back into the country, went back into the programs that are being cut?
Yeah, those people that know me, I know that I'm pretty, I guess, I would say jovial person. I'm not jovial right now, and I don't think I portrayed myself that way. And you know why? Because I'm really concerned about this nation. I'm really concerned about the direction Canada is going. Not only where the direction it's going, but the direction it is right now. And that's why I feel like I'm fighting for this nation. I was in the military at the time, I was raised up in a military home, and I know what it means to fight. I don't need this job. I'm doing this job because I care about this nation, I care about this community, I care about our young people. I just had my 4th grandchild. Well, I didn't have him, I don't have him, but you know, it's so important. And you know, we have, you know, everyone I talk with, virtually everyone I talk with, regardless of how they vote, agree that life has become more difficult, rising costs, worsening crime, the drug and overdose crises, the stagnant economy is obvious. Young families struggle to afford homes, and 1.3 million British Columbians lack a family doctor. I hear from people all the time who say they can hardly believe how much things have changed and have deteriorated over the past 10 years. Some people tell me that they would never have moved to Canada if they had known how challenging life would be, including skilled professionals like doctors and nurses facing bureaucratic nightmares blocking them from practicing. I guarantee that a Conservative government will turn this country around for the better in every way for everyone. And under Pierre Poilievre's leadership, Conservatives will put Canada first, unlike the Liberals. And that's not meant to be personal, okay? Unlike the Liberals who leave an unprecedented, and I mean unprecedented, scandal-plagued legacy of lining their pockets and that of their friends. It's just, Parliament has been closed down since last September, essentially, because they will not release the documents they've been ordered to.
Thank you. All right, so that wraps up our evening. I would like to thank the candidates, Mr. Heinrich, Ms. Rowell, Mr. Buttle, Mr. Dalton, and Mr. Lerner for spending the evening with us. I'd also like to thank Meadows.
With your permission, there are 2 elephants in the room that have not been addressed, and I think it is very important.
And we can ask the questions outside,
But they
okay?
need to be answered.
Okay, and you can ask them outside.
There's a format.
We have a format, sir. I appreciate that. And again, we have a format that we've laid out to the candidates, and it's fair to everybody this way. If you want to ask questions, I think the candidates will probably be outside. I would like to thank Meadow Ridge School for providing the facility, providing refreshments and snacks. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I hope you enjoyed your evening. Please remember that the folks from CBC will be outside asking for some comments. If you want to do that, you are more than welcome to. And again, thank you very much. Remember to vote on April 28th. It is so important. Polls are open from 7 till 7. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening.